Good morning, race fans. It is July 28th, 2023. And we're here now for the Belgium Grand Prix Free Practice 1. This is a sprint weekend, everyone. So this is the only practice we're going to see this weekend. And it's going to be crazy for that reason. I want to welcome you all to the Race Statistics YouTube channel. This is Grash, your commentator for this morning. And yeah, it's going to be wild. All the teams are going to be putting in as many programs as possible in during this session. So we're going to see all sorts of crazy stuff going on. The big story right now, well, there's three big stories. One, Lando broke Max's trophy last week. If you haven't seen the video, go watch it. It's hilariously funny. And he sees it break right away, and he knows what he's done. Two, going into this weekend, particularly today and tomorrow, Spa is under what's called a yellow. Where's my notes? There we go. It's going to be a yellow alert. Basically, when the expected rainfall is between 64.5 millimeters to 115.5 millimeters of rain. Basically, that a yellow alert is issued. So we are expecting rain on this track over today through FP1 most likely and into tomorrow. Looking at the weather report, let me just update it. Right now it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't have it in Celsius because my website. But right now we're looking at thunderstorms through this area right now. Humidity of 94%, rain 0.06 inches. Again, I need to get this into Celsius for everyone. Right now the cloud cover is set 97%. Wind gusts of 15 miles per hour. Again, I've got the website is an American website, and it's let's see, no. So right now, periods of rain will be ending in about 21 minutes. That's where we're at right now. 18 degrees at the track right now. Thank you for F1 TV for showing that for me. So the third big story right now is that Max Verstappen has taken a gearbox penalty that he will drop 5 places. That's where things stand as we go 5 minutes into we go into practice. I'm looking at the track right now on stream, and there are a lot of gray clouds in the area. So it doesn't look like it's raining right now, but it could be raining very quickly once it could be raining pretty quickly. If you guys have any questions, what's the temperature? I'm just going through. If you have any questions for me, please add me in chat. Also, if you are enjoying what you're listening, joining the conversation in chat, come join our Discord channel. I will drop that in. It's our Discord link. There it is. Yeah, so with the rain, basically the issue with Spa is that particularly with the rain, Spa becomes a very dangerous track, right? That there's no two ways about it. We've had 2 deaths at this track in the past 5 years, and one of those deaths in the last, I think, 2 months. So that there is there is concern about the safety of this track, particularly when the rain comes to this track. Now, one of the things that's an issue with the rain, and this is all, uh, it doesn't matter where, but one of the things that the FIA is working on is as they're working on, um, basically it's a rain flap that can be added to the car quickly and easily, basically can removed to the car for rain, and that would basically help. So basically, when they're in the rain, the tires basically kicking up that um, spray up into the air, and so the purpose of the flaps basically is to keep from cars from kicking that spray up in the air, keeping it down low, so it's not getting up into people's visibility. Looking right now, again, people are talking about Max's grid, 5 grid penalty for a new gearbox. Checo is still on track to only use 4 gearboxes this for this season. So, well, Farrell Mouth is in chat. Everyone, say hello to Farrell. Guess what he says? I get to see my first session live this season, apart from testing. Dude, we're pretty jealous of you right now that you're able to be at track and to see a session. For those who don't know, Farrell is he has been a commentator on the stream as well. I've worked with him on stream, so great to see him again in chat. Yeah, it's gonna start in about a minute or so. But like Max is not even in his car, doesn't have his helmet on, he's not set up. He's talking with Horner at the moment. Looking over at the McLaren garage. Where's Lando? Lando doesn't look like he's in his car. No, he's not in his car. Same for Oscar. Not even in his car. We see Daniel Ricciardo is in his car. And he's gearing up at the moment. He's adjusting his gloves. So, track is wet right now. It has been raining. It will still rain. Again, the last weather report I have, periods of rain ending in about 15 minutes from now. In a cast. So right now there's no precipitation at the track per se, but we're looking at rain starting again in 19 minutes. This is versus the AccuWeather minute cast that they've got right now. One of the Ferrari drivers is in their car. Pit lane is damp. It looks like so we have started FP1. No one's on track right now. Oh no, I take that back. This is Albin. The Williams are first out on track, which is their MO. And he is shooting up a spray behind his car. Don't see which tire he's on at the moment. But wow, that's a big wake of spray that he's kicking up with his car. Hamilton is coming out. He's on the blue wets. So what's again? Those who don't know, the blue wets are designed to not use tire blankets at all. They're more like an all-terrain tire that you put on to a regular car as it is. And it looks like this week's safety car is an Aston Martin because it is very green. Hamilton stopped at the end. It looks like the end of the pit lane. So there is reports of rain on parts of the track itself. Again, Hamilton's out on the track. He's on wets, and basically it's like watching a rocket with the spray coming up behind it. It's just literally looks like a rocket. They are just shooting that much water up in the air behind them. This is why safety concerns are so huge, particularly at this track. And now we're getting a shot of across the pit lane to to Red Bulls, looking at their weather report, and it's blue across the track area, and it's raining on pit lane. Like literally, if you were behind one of these cars, you would not be able to see anything at all. I can't see how they could. It is coming down hard now. Again, we're in a yellow alert for it started noon locally at track, so about 2.5 hours previously they went into the yellow alert. It will stay in that yellow alert for rain going into tomorrow night at track time. So yeah, they need those. Jose is bringing up about the wheel covers, and that's something that it is in the right now in the pipeline for new technology. Wow, who are we looking at here? We barely see anything on the camera. I think this is Hamilton. And the problem is also that the front tires are throwing up spray as well, but the back tires are doing the bulk of the work. No. So in chat, someone's asking that wheel covers would not stop the spray and improve visibility. No, they will improve. That's the design of the wheel covers. They're more like mud flap designed as opposed to something on the side of the tires. It's they're not meant to stop the spray entirely, but it's to reduce the amount of spray that the tires are kicking up, so they can improve visibility, so they can race in the rain. Like right now, this is not a. So they've been telling over Hamilton radio that they have heavier rain in the pit lane. So the point of those wheel covers, they're acting like mud flaps. Ultimately, again, they're designed to basically reduce the amount of spray that the tires are kicking up, and that would improve visibility dramatically. Yeah, I'm gonna call out Paul Maxley. No, man, like the the wheel covers we're talking about are in the technology pipeline right now, and yeah, pretty much, like, they're working on that right now. This is, if it doesn't come at the end of this year, it'll probably come. Did we go back to green, or has someone come off the track? Albin spun. Sean, I can actually answer that question. We actually don't know what's going on with the cost cap. There is a lot of, okay, so that's Albin. He overruns a corner and goes off track. He is on inners, and yeah, pretty much he's come back to the pit lane. So basically, the yellow flag was basically for Albin going off track. As for the cost cap, we don't know anything about the cost cap. There's tons of speculation. Teams are pointing fingers at each other, but ultimately, we will know what exactly has happened when things are announced. And that's nothing is set in stone. Nothing has been announced. No, we don't know what teams have breached the cost cap. Again, there are essentially two ways to breach a cost cap. One of them is basically, obviously, is the overspending, and this goes into two categories. Did you overspend under 5%, or did you overspend by more than 5%? When you go over 5%, that's when the big penalties come into play, disqualification, whatnot. The other way to breach the cost cap regulations is through procedural errors. You were late with documentation, something was wrong with documentation, and that's one of the things that we will see, is that teams will have, because the FIA has changed things again, we are looking at teams will probably breach the cost cap because of some procedural error. So that is something to basically keep in mind with the cost cap. Right now, Albin has gone P1 with intermediate tires, 2.8, 3.94. Sonoda has gone P3. Hamilton's gone P4. Russell's gone P4. More than half the grid has not even gone out. The Red Bull has not gone out. McLaren has not gone out. Alpine has not gone out. Stroll is out, but Alonso's not out. Ferrari's not out. So there's like several teams have not even gone out. So folks says stop saying red. It makes for the event boring. What happened to the old days when it didn't have nowhere near the amount of red flags? Because I'm the harbinger of red flags and chaos, my friend. I was on a 5-session streak where there was red flags after red flags and multiple red flags in some cases. So yeah, no, don't know what to tell you. And wow, it's coming down at the pit lane. You can see the water puddling and basically the rain reacting in the water as it hits. So I think they brought just Hamilton back into the pits at this point. It's with the rain coming down. It's a good question of what data they're going to get and what data they can get. No one's gone off the track, so no red flag as of yet. So looking right now, it's just a slow session, everyone. There's not many people out on track. No one's on track at the moment right now. It is raining hard. We're dealing with blue wets, which are better than the previous wets. Uh, Griff is sarcasm. There's a whole like 8 cars that are not even have not even gone on track. So he knows in chat saying Renault had the chance to say no when Red Bull demanded an engine freeze a few years ago. Red Bull would quit F1 if they didn't get their way, and I was angry Renault for agreeing. Well, basically, you gotta remember that Red Bull had basically was it going into the process of taking over the Honda unit for F1, and so without a engine freeze, they were basically dealing with what they felt was a untenable situation. We're about 15 minutes into this session already. A few people have been on track. They've gone out and done some bank times, like of 3 laps from most people, 2 and 1 laps from other people, 8 cars with no laps at all. It's raining hard. It's raining really hard. And right now, no one's on track. So, if you guys have questions, now's the time to throw them in chat. One of the things that I've been seeing bouncing back in chat is about basically the mud flaps. Essentially, the best way I'm calling them. They're flaps to reduce the amount of spray and improve visibility on track when it rains. And again, part of the design of these flaps is that they can be added. How many stars are there? I have not seen any stars. One of the Ferraris just came out onto track. Who is that? It is. It's Carlos Sainz coming out on track. So we've got a Ferrari on track. So moving, as we now get to a point now, I'm being joined by Biggles right now. Hi, Biggles. We have a car on track. It's Carlos Sainz.
Yes, good evening. I'm glad I bring my umbrella and my poncho to this one. It's reminiscence of Spa in the past, isn't it? Lots and lots of rain. You were talking about some of those new, basically, what would you call them? Rain wheel covers that the Formula One was kind of contemplating on adding to the vehicles to reduce the spray and stuff like that, my friend. They probably should have probably looked at bringing them here to Spa for this weekend's showdown, my friend, because this is probably the perfect time to maybe, what would you call, throw them on the cars there and do a little bit of testing with them under a practice session.
All right, Paul. You keep saying that they're not implementing that. I don't know what I'm not looking at Sky Sports. But the goal of them is to improve visibility. They're glorified mud flaps. That's how mud flaps work, dude. That's just the pure physics of what we're talking about. It's not going to eliminate the spray completely. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about reducing the spray. That's like literally, I'm seeing the spray come up twice over the uh, the height of the car. And there's that. With that, you can't see anything. Now, if it could be left to about half the height of the car, that's raceable condition. That's raceable conditions we're talking about, and that's what we're talking about. So we've got Norris coming out on track right now.
Yeah, it's
So we got a
it's just
few.
bucketing down, isn't it? The pitches at
It
the
is.
moment, as people are saying. David says, "Why don't they develop an alternative track and switch at bad weather?" That's a whole new ball game, my friend. That means all the teams and drivers and all the research and all the data they would have to be like completely redone all over again. So unfortunately, my friend, that's not feasible for a Formula One car. And Norris has pulled off to the side, or he's in the pit lane. Sorry, he's in the he's in the pit lane exit there, doing a practice race. Well, practice start there in their full weather condition tires at the moment.
Gotcha. So they did. So Huang's saying that they did a rain test with Mercedes and another team, found that it made no difference. I've been redesigned. That's news to me. I have not heard about any failure with those flaps at this point.
Are you talking about the rain covers?
Yeah, the rain. Yeah,
okay.
I haven't heard anything about any testing or whatnot. I mean, it's still in testing. I mean, they're still in testing. They're still in development. They're not, as far as I know, they have not moved beyond proposal stages and testing stages. Um, and it could be this is part of the process that that they did do a test, didn't do what they expected, going back for redesign, so on, so on. But it's in the pipeline. That's what I want to get across. It's been presented to the technology committee, and that's the point I'm gonna get across. Is the map stuck? No, the map is not stuck. It's just there's a few people only on track right now. It's Sainz, Norris, and now Perez on track.
Correct on that one. And basically, what people in the iRacing sim community have been praying for rain for years, and essentially at the moment, put it that way, you got about as much luck as iRacing bringing rain anytime soon as you'll have Formula One doing those testing for those mud flaps. Essentially, a little bit before Lando Norris radio check before that he said to the team when he was on that practice start, he says, "Lando radio check, all up the hill, it's all good." And I get a little message there saying 5.5, 2 burnouts, consecutive launch, second gear. So a second gear launch from Lando out of the pit lane goes to show you a lot of slip you're going to have, isn't it, with the horrendous rain conditions currently at the moment. And I'm glad this is also a very, very scary moment, as you know, Grash, because recently we have unfortunately lost racing drivers, open wheel racing drivers, and basically a handful of years, and just recently this year as well too, through the very, very dangerous uphill Eau Rouge and of course Radeon, and these conditions are the ones that have unfortunately taken drivers before in the past. So let's just fingers crossed that Formula One safety is hopefully the best in the world, and and in these conditions, I'm pretty sure all the drivers out there, my friend, will be well aware of that. Only one driver that did take a gamble, of course, was Alex Albon, but at the moment, nobody's taking gambles apart from those full wet tires.
So we got multiple drivers on the track right now. We've got Sainz, Tsunoda, Ricardo on an outlap, Bottas, Hulkenberg on an outlap, Norris on an outlap, Perez no time but out, Gasly starting, Ocon, Leclerc, Alonso, and Verstappen on outlap. So we're going to see several drivers on track over the next few minutes. And that makes sense because we were talking about rain. We're talking about rain stopping and starting. This is about the time when that rain was going to reduce in intensity.
That's what I wanted to ask you, my friend, because Spa is one of those tracks, of course, in the past where we've seen rain in one part of the track and not in the other. Have you got any information about the Perez go a little twirly-whirly coming out of the corners and keeping the rear end, trying to keep the rear end on the track because it's hard enough for these drivers? But then again, they're the 20 best drivers in the world. Any forecast for the weekend? I mean, barely. I can see. Well, honestly, at the moment, if you did have pictures, you're not going to see much, but spray. But any forecast for the weekend? Is this good right now for
Yeah.
these drivers to get out there and get some good laps under the belt in full wet conditions?
So,
Because perhaps the race weekend could
yeah.
be like that.
So what we know right now, right now is probably the best time to be on track to get any time. What we do know is that there is basically a yellow alert for rain has been issued for this weekend. That means the expected rainfall is between 64 and a half and 115 and a half millimeters. And that started 2.5 hours, so about 3 hours, so noon local time to Spa, and this is going to extend into tomorrow, 8 p.m. So we're looking at as we see FP1, we've got a yellow flag in Sector 3. Who has gone off? Thinking someone has gone off track.
I think they might just pull off to the side or something.
Pierre Gasly's gone off track.
Yeah.
He's not backing
just
up.
remember too, Grash, last year we didn't even get there, and Pierre Gasly's actually backing up a little bit. We didn't even get last year, my friend. Remember, because of the massive flooding that occurred here at Spa, we didn't even get to see.
No, that was
Belgium
2001.
GP. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm skipping.
Yeah, that was 2001.
Time flies, isn't it, when you're having Formula One fun?
Yeah, I mean, we had no, and he just basically did not make he didn't break in time.
This is the bus stop,
curve.
isn't it? Yeah, into the bus stop, my friend. Yep, that's what it was.
Yep.
Just
So again, we also had flooding in Imola earlier this year as well. So it is what it is. There's an article out where Leclerc is quoted as basically, don't be surprised if sessions or part of the race, particularly the sprint race, is at the most at risk right now. Is that the sprint race could be part of the sprint race could be canceled or reduced, or not a full race because of rain.
So, what do you guys think about that in the chat? Thank you everybody for tuning in, Jose, and all the usual suspects out there. Griff Holmes, welcome as well too. I think for safety's sake, yeah, I think at some point it might be worth just risking that one if the conditions are a little bit dangerous. Of course, Ricardo up into P5 at the moment, and those wet conditions not really a great way to represent the true Perez up at a P2, the true timings, because these conditions are basically who's boldest and bravest around Spa.
Norris
what do you think about that one, Grash? Like, I mean, if you feel it's too unsafe,
hold on, Bagels.
Go ahead.
Hold on, I gotta go. Norris just went with a 2:04, so he went 4 seconds faster, almost 3.5 seconds faster than Leclerc's 2:08.1. So, talking about dangers and with braving, there's Norris with the first penguin. Science has just done a fastest Sector 1. He's done a whole second faster in Sector 1.
Did Norris do that on the Inters or not? I'm showing wets and telemetry, but
I think he's on wets. I have not seen anyone.
Okay. No problems, my friend. Yeah, but out there in the chat, of course, do you feel that if it is too dangerous, should they be looking at perhaps?
Well, this is like the Piastri has just gone. Time. Piastri did it 55. So Sainz lost a second to Piastri in Sector 2. So he's on par with Piastri's time right now.
Absolutely, a little bit of a lockup on Valtteri Bottas, so just a very slow emotion replay there. Big promotion, of course, for the kick. And if anybody's not familiar with kick, of course, is another alternative solution that's sponsoring Formula One and as a Twitch solution. And the big promotion that they're doing this weekend, of course, is 95.5, means 95% of the profits that you earn from the Kick platform of advertising go to you. 5% will go to the Kick platform as opposed to the Twitch platform. But then again, Twitch still is massively huge as Carlos Sainz goes to the top of the timesheets.
Looking faster Sainz. So Sainz has just done a fastest sector 1 and sector 3 time. And it basically is mostly in sector 3 is where a good portion of the time that he made up and improved over Piastri. So we've got Sainz, Piastri, Norris, Leclerc in P1, P2, P4. Perez is P5. We still have people. I think Max is still on an out lap. Max is back in the pits. He went out for an installation lap and came in. He's only done 1 lap. Alpine's done 2 laps.
Yeah, sorry. Sergio Perez got even quicker. As just mentioned in the chat there, I'm seeing a lot of mini purple sectors. So perhaps because they're just displacing, and you're going to tell us that in a second there, Grash, if not somebody in the racing statistics community will, of how much water is displacing these tires every second, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you very much, everybody. There is a lot of people watching. Smash that like button and subscribe. We're almost to the milestone, aren't we, of 100,000? Try to find that way of Carlos Sainz in these conditions. Go ahead.
Yeah, so someone in chat just said an installation lap. What an installation lap basically means is that they sent the car out on track. They did not do a full. They didn't cross the start-finish line. They went out on track and came right back into the pits. And basically, what's going on is they're testing. Basically, it's a shakedown of the car to make sure everything is okay. And it's not intended to they're just basically making sure, the car's running. Everything's, set up correctly. And it's basically, sometimes it could be an engine thing that you're working on. It could be a wing thing they're coming on. Various reasons, but it's basically they go out, car's functioning, come right back into the pits. And that's what that installation lap means.
Big messages I'm getting from some of the drivers to the teams is a lot of rain in Sector 2, and that's just not one driver. Lance Stroll reported that one. I did get that message from another few drivers as well, too. I'm just listening in.
Another question from chat is, what does it mean by going on inners? So basically, we've got 2 styles of tires. We've got our traditional dry, slick tires, and then we have 2 different types of tires for the wet rain conditions. And the first one that we've seen a lot of today has been the W's, the blue wets. The other version is an intermediate tire. So the intermediate is intended for track conditions that are wet, but not like downpour conditions. And the wets basically are when those conditions. I think it's like the wet tires can displace like 20. I forget what the unit is. It's like a difference between 5 to 20 units. And so basically, the wet tires can displace more water. That's a big difference. Like a 4-time, where the intermediates can do about like 5 units, the wet tires can do pretty much like 20 units of displacement of water.
Alex Albon's gone off.
Has he gone off? He has become a tractor. Oh,
yeah,
Logan
actually stopped on.
Logan there has caused a red flag.
Red flag, exactly. I was just about to say, there's some race control messages coming in saying a lot of cars are going off in Sector 2. Maybe, can you see exactly where Logan has gone off?
No, looking at
no damage. I can't see major damage to the car. He's okay. He's getting out of the car at the moment. Team radio is from Logan Sargent. He's like, so if you cannot rejoin, which is the case, I'm sorry, stop the car. Just give me a little bit of the back of the car and give me a little. I'm not quite sure that message is about. Logan says, I don't know what happened. We talked about it yesterday. Interesting. All right. Replay pictures. That's down Camel Straight, isn't it, mate? That's in the Lacombe. Yes, it is. And he snapped it and gone straight on.
He just hit the wall.
Absolutely straight on. So that brake locked big time, my friend. I don't think he even hit the brakes. That locked up before. There is some technical problem with the Williams, as they're just pointing some cameras down to the Williams garage with some sad faces, no doubt. but it is a red flag condition. I think they're just as puzzled as we are there, Grash, as to what happened.
Yeah, he just, I mean, like, it looked like the tire locked up and he just went straight into the wall.
But he went off. If you actually notice, he went off the racing line. He was on the inside, like if you're really going to be doing overtake into the entry of Lacombe. So he was off the racing line to the right-hand side before he even approached the corner, which indicated to me that there was some sort of issue with the car before that.
At this point, I mean, we're in a red flag. Hey everyone, it's 27 minutes left in the session, and you're with Grash.
Back. How are you feeling, by the way, Grash? Sorry,
I'm feeling much better.
I know that you're,
like I was in the hospital for 10 days. I'm still healing from what happened. I'm not going to go into details because it's pretty gross, but I'm able to sit down, which is a big, able to sit down for a longer period. I was able to do the race last weekend, but like literally after the race, I was back in bed to like relax and to deal with the fact. Yeah, I mean, like I'm at probably 75-80% of the way there, the last, or maybe the 85% of the way of the recovery. I'm in it, I'm recovering well, I'm recovering fast. That's the other thing that I should say. I want to thank everyone in the racing statistics community for again, this happened at the beginning of the month. You guys were wonderful to me, and your support during that time was greatly appreciated. Enough about where I'm at right now. The bill is starting to come in. My friend,
no, it's fine, mate, because we're at a red flag anyway, so we don't really have too much to report about the race. It is important for us for the amount of absolute fantastic work you do here at Racing Statistics. So yeah, why not? We need to hear a little bit, and I'm glad that you're doing it, mate. I don't think you would make the 100. What is it? The 95 or 90% mark to qualify for a race. As Zogran, you also goes a little bit into the fence. That's sector 2. I think that's the one that everybody's calling out. Yeah, that's Lacombe is murdering people at the moment, and thankfully not in a dangerous murdering way. That's what drives the reporting of the team radio.
They show a replay of Albin going off the track.
Now, just to let everybody know where sector 2 is. If you climb your way up, we all know the famous Rouge, right? You go up in the Radion, you go flat out down the Camel Straight, and then you go ready for a high-speed Lacombe, also one of the best overtaking opportunities you're going to have at Belgium because you got the DRS activation, which they won't have. And then they're locking up massively and can't turn it to the right of the entry to Lacombe, and that's the second and third driver now that's been in the fence.
So just we are now at 25 minutes to go in the session. Just to bring us where we are right now. It has been raining all day. We're seeing people doing times on both intermediates and wet tires. About 5 minutes ago, Logan Sargent basically lost control of his car and went into the wall, and that basically the front left tire basically was dislodged, and he could not rejoin the track. That pushed us into right now the red flag to remove his car from the track. And
there's 3, isn't there, my friend? 3 cars have actually gone off into that same corner.
They've gone, but Logan Sargent, other cars have gone off the track. Logan is the one that's caused the red flag. That's what I'm pointing out at the moment. So I know Albin went off the track. Who else went off the track? I'm trying to remember.
There was the Joe. Joe went off.
Joe went off the track. So
he hit the fence as well, pretty hard. So probably about the same hard. Yeah, he did about the same amount of damage that was caused to Logan Sargent's car as well too. It almost looked like an absolute splitting.
Joe was able to get back to the pits.
Oh yeah, but there's still okay, fair enough. So not as bad.
Joe was able to get back to pits. So yeah, Jose is saying that Joe, Albin, and Bottas. I remember Bottas earlier in the Joe just hit his end plate, whereas Logie Bear right into the wall and smacked that tire off. Basically it's designed to collapse, and it collapsed. So That leaves again right now our top drivers right now is Sainz, Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Perez. Um, Sainz and Piastri have gone to 203s, which are brave, and Norris has done a 204, also brave. And then we have a big jump to a 2.8 with Leclerc and Perez. So, and Albon has also done a 2.8. So those are our 6 brave warriors, brave drivers at this point.
Brave souls. Yes, you're right on that one. Thank you very much for that information. That Jose is always great at providing that technical information. If we miss it, well, if Crash misses it, which is not very often, Jose will pick up the pieces as our friendly, basically Ted down the pit road. Ted Jose Martinez, I think we should call him, right? Or Jose Ted Martinez, mate. You can give yourself your pit name reporting as we're just looking at a lot of very excited, enthusiastic audience members in the grandstands in Belgium. Even though it's like the most miserable conditions, they're still so happy. I'm surprised that they are like, yes, I'm here at a Formula One, probably one of the affordable tracks too, isn't it, my friend? You can actually go visit on the Formula One calendar, unless you want to take out a nice bank loan to go to visit Las Vegas. But yeah, very excited fans here in Belgium.
One of the interesting stories coming out of Vegas is that F1 or something or an agent that is working for F1 is going to venues that are on the strip, on the track, and they're basically asking for now this is rumor, it's not verified, but they're asking for these venues to pay like $1,500 per person who could be at the venue in order to basically what they're doing is they're shaking them down for money to not put up barriers, high barriers, to block the view of the track. Yeah, and welcome to Vegas.
The venue thing. I've lived in Vegas. I lived in Vegas for about a year. So
we're talking like my understanding is that it is like bars and other like restaurants, other hotels who are not on the strip. So it's stuff. It's other locations around the track, and we're about a minute or so from going green flag.
Yeah, this is not green flag. It's bucketing down. They might go back out again, of course, and that's another wet weather condition. So you can barely even see the pit crew on the pit wall, actually, as they're turning around looking at it. There, basically, if you're going to pictures at the moment, what's on the pit wall screens is not timing. It's weather radars, and you don't see that very often. I wonder who will control the car. Tire heating in Vegas. That'll actually be interesting. But yes, I mean, if you've ever been to the Las Vegas Strip, there are lots of small businesses there where there's also like McDonald's, M&M's factory. There's all sorts of jazz that's there as well too. So that may be a part of it, apart from the massive big casinos, of course, that they'll be passing.
So one of the questions in chat right now, and one of the things that people are talking about is Max Verstappen. We know that Max has taken, I believe, his 5th gearbox. That is going to result in a 5-place penalty for Sunday's race. So the sprint race, he doesn't have a penalty. He does not have a penalty for the penalties being applied to Sunday's Grand Prix race, not Saturday's sprint race. So I want to make sure that we are in green flag, but no one's on track.
That's interesting. I did not know that, Grash. If your engine change, gearbox change, MKU, all that sort of jazz is only applied to the race itself, right? Not the sprint.
Yes, not the sprint.
Thank you. I did not know that, and I've been in Formula One for a little bit, but that's the reason why I'm here with you, my friend, because you know it, and everybody else in the chat knows it.
Admittedly, the sprint has only been around like 2 years, so these are fiddly pieces of the rules that I do understand and basically check basically from time to time. We've got 18 minutes left to go in this session. Once again, this is the Racing Tickets YouTube channel. You are listening to Grash and Biggles right now. As well, we just came out of a red flag to a green flag to no one on track. Yeah, my apologies for being the harbinger of chaos once again for F1. I have angered the gods greatly somehow again. Jose and Matt, you guys tell me how I did it this time.
I'm wondering if any of the teams have literally a 7-kilometer track, remember, it's the longest in the Formula 1 calendar. In fact, if it was entered in the Formula 1 calendar right now, it's over the limit. It's about 7. I think I've measured it with one of those little walking meter things. I've been to Spa, and I think I got about 7,001 point something. Anyway, it's got to be under. It's only about 7 kilometers. I'm talking about 7,000 meters these days for Formula 1. But of course, Spa is one of the best racetracks on the planet. But I wonder if the teams have sent anybody down into the notorious zone of turn 2, of course, into La Com. That's going to be like they're sitting there, like trackside. They can't go on the track, of course, but they maybe with some fancy devices, mate, measuring the water on the track. I'm pretty sure there's some technology right now to do that.
So right now, the track is actually 7.004 kilometers. I'm actually looking at some vital stats at the moment.
Personally, mate, come on.
Yeah, you were almost dead on.
That's before that's before the update. Sorry, my apologies.
Well, this is it's still the longest circuit on the F1 calendar.
Yes.
We are basically the first Grand Prix was 1950, which is so this is one of the original tracks in the first year of a championship.
Was the 1940s track the 14-kilometer one or the 7?
I'm not sure. I have to go back and look more.
It was pre-war for the long track. Sorry, yeah, and then it changed to the less track. It was too dangerous team back then.
So we're looking at a safety car probability at 63% and a virtual safety car 25% based on the previous 8 races. Yeah, 2021 being that safety probability, adding to that. Pit lane loss, if we were on dry, so it's probably going to be dry on Sunday. That's the kicker. It's going to be rainy today. Again, obviously in this session, but in the quali session, it's going to be raining tomorrow in the shootout. It'll be raining in the sprint, but for the Grand Prix, it will probably be dry. We're looking at an 18.5-second pit lane stop here at Spa.
Good question out there in the chat. Thank you very much for that, because yes, it is the only practice session for the weekend. After this, you have a qualifying. Then you have a sprint shootout. We don't know if they're going to change that and switch it up a little bit. Then you have the sprint and the race. So the race will be on your Sunday, but we will have the sprint shootout and the sprint and the qualifying today, maybe after this. So this is the only practice session that these drivers are going to have. Right, Crash, this weekend.
Yes. This is the only practice session that they are getting. So what would be FP2 is going to be quali for the Sunday's race. What would be FP3 would be the sprint shootout or quali for the sprint race. What would be quali on a normal weekend is the sprint race and then the Grand Prix itself. People were asking what caused the red flag. That was Logan Sargent going into the wall and not being able to rejoin the track. They had to pull. They had to pull his car off the track by hand. But that was about 5-6 minutes ago, and we went to green flag, and it's now raining much harder, and so no one's on track right now.
Do you think out there, and that's a question everybody in the chat, that with a few hours at hand before the qualifying session, if it's not obviously delayed or anything like that, that'll be coming up depending on your local time, but let's say 2.5 to 3 hours from now, from the end of this session, that the Williams, of course, with one of the lowest budgets on the grid, will have that car fixed in time?
Yeah, it's only the front suspension piece and the tire that was damaged. Maybe a nose piece, nose change. The car will be back for next. Will be back on the grid for the qualification session.
Excellent. I have a little bit of trivia that's popped up on the screen here. I want to see if anybody wants to answer this one, and I like throwing a little bit of trivia in here. We're in a red flag conditions at the moment. Well, we are green. Apologies, but nobody's out on track. Green flag. Here you go. Daniel Ricciardo, right? I want to see anybody answer this. His favorite pastime. What does he like to do in his favorite pastime? Second question. What is his favorite music category? Third question, if he was not a driver, what would he have liked to have been? And that's another sports profession. There you go. The answer that one out there. You'll just get a little thumbs up from us. No prizes, but let us know, please. That's from Daniel Ricciardo about that. Favorite pastime that he likes to do, favorite music genre, and if he is not a Formula 1 driver, what would he have liked to have been as a sports star? Somebody got country correct. That's bingo on that one. So favorite music is country. Anybody, anything else there? Grash, you have any answers to that one?
No. And who's? I mean, Sergio Perez looks like he's going out onto track now. Yep, he is coming out on track. So we got our first car in about 10 minutes. And they are prepping Max's car. So Max is on inners, and it looked like Checo was on wets. Someone have to verify that Checo's on inners. So they're going both back, and Max and Checo are on inners.
Ooh,
going on
brave.
track.
That is brave, my friend. That is very, very brave, considering nobody's been out on this track for give or take about 10 minutes, my friend. So that rain has not stopped coming down.
Someone in
MMA
chat says,
fighter, sorry. Yeah,
there we go.
Come on, guys, keep going. I'll give you some more time as we get some of these times.
What was the last question again? What's the one question they have?
If he wasn't a Formula 1 driver, what other sports profession would he have liked to have been?
MMA fighter's not the answer?
No. Believe it or not, I was surprised about that one too. Yep, as Jose says, the track is soaked. It is, and that's why I was worrying why somebody's throwing out inters, because the inters don't disperse. That was another question I wanted to ask you too, my friend. How much water does the wet tire disperse almost every second?
That's a good question. Okay, so the intermediate can displace around 30 liters of water per second, and the full wet tire can do about 65 liters per second.
Wow, that could fill a bathtub up pretty quickly, isn't it? Anyway, a rodeo cowboy, American football? No. I mean, he'd be pretty good a superstar. Anyway, I'll give you the answer to that one real quick as we get further into this one. He was actually, believe it or not, a tennis player. Is what Daniel Ricciardo would prefer to be if he's not a Formula 1 motor racer. Anyway, we'll see how these enters go as they're going to gingerly find their way around the track. Max Verstappen out there as well as his teammate, Sergio Perez. So let's see.
So, AccuWeather minute cast right now saying that a break in the rain in about 14 minutes, which basically says after the end of the session.
And answering the first question, favorite pastime, that's going to be a difficult one. Riding dirt bikes. And if anybody does know Daniel Ricciardo, his father actually runs a business in Perth, which is based on bikes. So Daniel Ricciardo has been around on riding a few two wheels, straight back in the pit lane as well, too, goes Max Verstappen. I think that little reconnaissance lap says, sorry, guys, it's too wet.
Yeah, Max just coming right back in, and just not doing a full lap on track and not setting a time. He's one of several people who have not set a time. Stroll is out on track right now.
Just real quick, Rash, they put some random tires I've never seen before on Max. So they took off the tires as a little practice pit stop that they will do. They threw on tires that I didn't even see the stripe of those tires. There was no color whatsoever on those tires. And that's just to pull the car into the garage. Do you know what that's about?
No, I don't. It may be just a generic tire to be there. It's not. Yeah, it may not be a tire intended for use on the track. Max did had a lockup. Not saying where.
I'm not surprised,
where
my friend, because it's called aquaplaning. There is no grip on that track, and Red Bull really bold and brave in taking that one, because I mean Max always taken that penalty, of course, for the race.
Yeah, I mean they could be just donuts. It could just be what we call donuts. A hard like, not like in terms of like the slicks, but it's a hard temporary tire to put on the car. And again, why would they do that? It gives them a chance to do a pit stop test
Somebody said wets that don't have the stripe. I mean, I thought Pirelli only brings a certain amount of tires to there, and of course they're trying to save tires. Hence the reason why they had that qualifying format tested last week in Hungary. Anyway, Danny Ricciardo is a heavy metal fan. But apparently, go ahead. There's rain. It's heavy. Yeah.
So they're telling Stroll that to box this lap because of the heavy rain. Alonso went out. He's on an out lap. I don't expect him to do a full lap. It'll probably be a reconnaissance lap at this point.
Did you notice that, Garash, of course, once the cars are out there and they're displacing that serious amount of water that we just mentioned before, it starts to form a little bit of a dry line. Obviously, that's depending on how much rain. The rain is still coming down, not probably as heavy as what it was a little bit earlier, but once they start forming a little bit of a dry line, of course, you'll find a little bit more pace at a point where you can maybe switch from the wets to the inters. But at this point, not having enough cars running on track to even do that, are you?
But it's still, the rain's just coming down so hard at this point. Everywhere. It's raining. It feels like it's raining everywhere on track. So even if the cars were out there and, running on the track, and, that's one way to dry off the track is to have cars run on the inters and wets. But it's just raining too hard for that, even that to happen at this point.
How frustrating would it be? Left. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, we got 6 minutes left in the session right now. Again, this is the Racing Statistics YouTube channel. And you've got Grash and Biggles with you with a odd rainy FP1 with cars not on track. Matt, we're looking at... Yeah. We've got, the Alpines have not set a time. I don't think Stroll has set a time. And I know Sargent did not set a time. And Max Verstappen has not set a time during the session. Max did an installation lap. He has a new gearbox. He will be taking a penalty for that gearbox. So it's to be a five place penalty be applied wherever he qualifies this afternoon. And yeah, he did an installation lap and he did a reconnaissance lap. Same thing with Gasly, Ocon with their cars. They probably did an installation lap and a reconnaissance lap later on. So
and the qualifying session coming up in a little bit after this one will be very interesting to see whether or not how the teams are going to do that. Barely any running in these conditions for majority of the teams. A few of them out there set some times in, but not every team has. And those track conditions can change drastically in a 7-kilometer Spa track. So that'll be a big test. I was just wondering at the moment, my friend, like, how frustrating is it for the team sitting there going, well, we're at the mercy of the weather gods here. So how are they going to possibly prepare for qualifying?
They've done everything that they can. Like if you look above, like with Joe and Bottas, we look at Russell, Hamilton, Ricardo. They've done 7 laps. Sainz did 6, McLaren did 4. So they basically did the work that they could do with the time that they had. The question becomes, as they go, Dario, right now this is a practice, not a qualification. So that's a question. Like again, for all the teams that didn't. So we're looking at Sargent, Stroll, Gasly, Ocon, and Verstappen. We've got 5 minutes left to go, and it doesn't feel like anyone's going to go back on track. But these 5 drivers have not set a time on track, and by doing so, they're basically, if they don't set a time during the qualification, basically they could not be allowed to race because they didn't set a time. You have to have been part of a practice previously to go into qualification to race. So right now, these 3 drivers have not actually done a practice under those rules. If they don't set a time during qualification, then it gets into an interesting question of now this assumes that qualification goes as normal, but there's a scenario where you set no time in practice, you set no time in qualification. They then push you back and say you have not actually qualified in some way to show that your car's ready to go for this weekend. So they get bumped off the grid. in that regards. So the other scenario that's could be going on is that they could end up with the rain if it's that heavy and it's red. They basically red flag qualification like out of the gates, and then don't finish the quali session. Then order becomes, I believe, where is it? Championship order. So Max would be P1, and then jump to P6 based on that. Checo would be P2, would move up to P1. He'd be so Max would technically be the pole sitter, but his again functionally he'd be dropped down to P6. Checo would be in the pole functionally. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Not.
This is rain.
Not right. Yeah, it's rain. It's Spa. It always has happened in the past. So let's hope that the rain will lighten up a little bit and perhaps we'll get the cars out there. It is interesting. Remember, you used to have the old rule back in the days of the qualifying. You had to get to a certain percentage of the fastest lap during qualifying in order to even get on the grid for the race. That's changed a lot over the years. And another thing, of course, is that when you go into wet weather conditions, where drivers are forced to not use any dry tires or nobody's used dry tires, then there's a lot of flexibility that the FIA do allow on those rules in those conditions. So once again, that's going to be deemed by race control and how they determine that one. And obviously we all do want to see 20 drivers on the grid and racing. And there are definitely excuses to say why teams haven't gone out during practice sessions, because you've seen a couple of crashes, like teams like Williams and stuff that don't have a great deal of funds and money.
So one of the Ferraris is going out.
Trying to push it out, my friend. I'm sure it's actually going to go out. 2 minutes to go. That's just one little outlap, if best. That's it. And by itself on a very wet, lonely track.
We got another. We have another car in front of them. I can't. Yeah, two cars are going to be going
Ferrari
out
as well, isn't it? Yes, it is. Two Ferraris are out.
Is it both Ferraris?
Yep. And another one in the background. I'm not quite sure if that's a Red Bull, because trust me, everybody, even if you have pictures at the moment. Oh, it's a Alpha. No, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, what they're going to do is stop at the end of the pit lane and then do a practice start kind of thing.
So it's just Leclerc, Bottas, and Zhou going out. Hamilton is on.
Then there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Hamilton is now on an outlap. So no one who's not set a time. Yeah, that's really
this is
weird.
Scary for a team. I think we spoke about this before, because by risking this, you bin it right now. You're putting a lot of pressure on a team to get your car ready for qualifying.
Well, I mean, so basically, the cars that are going out right now, they're not going to do an actual lap. They're going to go around the track. They'll go around the track once, and then they'll come back the second time when they come around. It will be for a practice start. That's why they're coming out on track.
Perfect. That makes sense.
These outlaps, these outlaps, they don't have enough time to get across the line to do a flying lap. So they're not doing.
I will throw something out there, Grash, because a Formula One car with its downforce needs to rely on, in these wet conditions, speed. Now, when you aquaplane, doesn't matter what you have, what vehicle you have, even your road car, if you've ever done it, there's a lot of water on the track. You point in one direction, there's nothing you can do. So you're still a little bit of risk involved. And the slower you go, sometimes is even as difficult it is to stop the car. So you have to maintain a certain level of speed, and also at the same time, make sure you're out of the fence.
So yeah, but one of the things, again, it is the session has ended now. One of the things that so Leclerc looks like he's on an intermediate tire. I know other people look like Hamilton is on an intermediate tire. Those who are on the blue wets can go out and have that tire somewhat perform out of the gate without it needing to be high up. So one of so I think Sainz is probably on wets, which is interesting. So Sainz is going on wets, and Leclerc is on. So one Ferrari's on wets, one is on intermediates, and this is they're doing some sort of A/B testing for sprint start for quality because it's going to rain.
Oh, and what's interesting at the moment, my friend, is that you're seeing a Ferrari at the moment behind the Mercedes in the spray, and it's probably not a bad idea. I'm not sure which Ferrari it is specifically, but somebody is following Hamilton, and that's probably not a bad idea to see how difficult the conditions are if you're going to be behind a car during racing. Yeah.
So who is which one is this? I think it's Sainz.
He's going to pull into pit road now.
Yeah, no, he pulled onto the pit lane and onto the. He's going to do a practice start.
Yes, they can do that now. Exactly. So the red.
But he has pulled back from.
No, he's going straight.
Yeah, he's going to go around again, and he's going to do a practice start. He basically at the last corner, before the finish line, basically he stopped, and to let Hamilton get ahead of him.
He was kind of charging side by side with him in the final third sector.
Why are they still going at when practice ended? Basically because they're going around to set up for practice starts. That's pretty much, and this is actually a normal procedure in practice sessions in general. So yeah, that's why they're going out. That's why you see all these cars on track now. Basically, their outlaps ended after the session ended. They're now going around the track again, and then they're going to line up, at the start finish line in grid boxes and do practice starts. We may see the FIA do a test of the safety car system or the virtual safety car system. Don't be surprised if we see a yellow flag go up. That's because that's what the FIA is. They're just going to be testing. Wow, he's right behind him.
Yeah, I think that because I think the Ferrari right now is happy to sit behind just to see how the conditions are for testing in race conditions. If it's going to be like that on the weekend, as Carlos Sainz is there. Another question I wanted to ask you, Grash, and everybody in the chat: why don't all the cars go out there for that very opportunity to do a practice test start?
Well, for today, it's because it's raining. But normally,
this is the only practice session, the only one.
Yeah. Normally, most of the cars would be out on track because it's raining in this. Only certain teams, like again, we're seeing Ferrari, we're seeing Haas, we're seeing Hamilton, we're seeing Alfa Romeo. We're only seeing a couple teams go out for that, but like Russell didn't go out. Out Red Bull and Williams and AlphaTauri and Aston Martin and Alpine. Alpine went out for 2 laps, and they went out in the first half hour and they didn't go out again. So why did Max not set a time? Basically, his first lap was an installation lap, so basically he went out of the pits and went right back in the pits, and then he did a reconnaissance lap where he basically went out of the pits, went right back in the pits. So he didn't actually do a lap where he went over start finish line. Alpine did the same thing as well. So it's practice. What someone is saying that his local commentator is I can't pronounce your name. My apologies. My local commentator says that qualifying will most likely be canceled. Is this true?
Question mark. Yeah.
Maybe
exactly.
We don't know. We will be back in 2.5 hours. So in 2 hours, basically, stream should be up again. 10 to 15 minutes before quali session is supposed to start, I will be back commentating, and we'll see. I don't know if quali will be. Yeah, that will be an interesting. I'll be doing qualification this afternoon. This still morning for me, but afternoon for many other people. We will see what happens then. It is a yellow alert for rain. So that means there's 65.5 millimeters to 115.5 millimeters of rain is expected to drop over these next 2 days. That's a lot of water. So we will see how things go in terms of that, qualification. If it's raining, if it rains like it is still raining like it is now, it could be canceled. It could be they green flag it for like 15 seconds and then red flag it because of rain.
Best way, of course, everybody out there to find out, right, Grash, is to make sure you hit the like and subscribe button there, and you'll get notified of the bells of when the qualifying session will be up. And so tune in on that one. And then exactly. So thank you, everybody. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, if you join the Discord, basically we will have an event up where the link to the next session will be. So that's another place where you can get the link. Again, what will there be quali? Tune in at quali to find out. That's all I can tell you right now. Again, the Discord channels will probably be doing a discussion after that. And then finally, pretty much the last piece of news is that Max. We know that Max has a gearbox change that's going to cause a 5-place penalty. That's the news right now. So we will be seeing, again, this is the Racing 62 channel. I want to thank you, Biggles, for being here to help talk to me while nothing happened.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, and keeping everybody entertained. Thank you, obviously, everybody out there for giving us information as well, too. We don't know, but that's the beauty of having everybody out there tuning in. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, Paul was asking if there's no quali, what would the starting grid? Apparently, that would be the drivers' championship order. Would be the order the cars would be in. That's how I understand that to be at this moment. Quali again is going to be in about less than 2.5 hours. We'll be back on the air with music in 2 hours, and then about 15 to 10 minutes, I will be back with commentary for you. All right, then again, this is Grash again with Bagels this morning. I want to thank everyone who's come, who's liked, subscribed, said stuffing in chat. We will see you in about 2 hours for quali, if there's quali. Well, we'll talk over 2 hours or whatnot if what happens with quali. All right, we'll see you in 2 hours. Stay safe, everyone.